Hi, Bobbi-Lea from Aussie Theatre. Now I'm at the QTC Billy Brown studio for a sneak peek at their world premiere production of St Mary's in Exile. In 2009, Brisbane's Catholic community was rocked when the Catholic Church stepped in to oust beloved priest Father Peter Kennedy from his post at St Mary's in South Brisbane.
That was amazing.
There are cameras everywhere.
They got to best side, Terry.
You mean the back of his head?
Oh yeah, that's right. Did you hear that, Juno? Said he had an off the record from Campbell Newman. Apparently he said every time I speak somewhere it feels like there's a mob from St Mary's not liking me.
Must be doing all right then.
That's fantastic. Amazing, yes.
Oh, brilliant, good on you guys.
He led more than 700 devoted parishioners, but the church's higher powers doubted his faith. They scorned the statue of Buddha in the foyer and frowned when he blessed same-sex couples or let women in the pulpit.
This is what the Archbishop's letter warned us about.
What have the protests got to do with the Archbishop?
Terry representing himself as leader speaking for the community.
Well, he does.
Not to the Archbishop.
Oh, he's not watching Channel 7 News on a weekday. He's giving the service over
His
at the...
spies then. Righto, Rich and his mates.
You've been paranoid, Beth. We had to do something. The press is great. We've created an impact.
I'm not talking about the protest. I'm saying on the news, there'll be you saying you're from St Mary's and we're the community behaving badly again.
We're just doing what we've always done.
Exactly.
Speaking up for the poor, it's a good thing.
But it wasn't as...
Penned by acclaimed Brisbane playwright David Burton and directed by theatre powerhouse Jason Clarwine, St Mary's in Exile is a powerful Brisbane story, one that chronicles the greatest divide the Catholic Church has experienced in modern history.
I was inspired by this play by the true story, which I just think is an amazing story of social justice and exploring different values within the Catholic Church. And it's a true story. It happened just a block away from where the theatre is putting it on. I took about 6 months and talked to whoever would talk to me. So that was many leaders within the Catholic Church, including the current Archbishop of Brisbane, Archbishop Mark Coleridge, as well as spending many, many hours with the real Peter Kennedy and the real Terry Fitzpatrick, along with a lot of congregants of theirs, past, present, to find out what was going on and what their stories were. What I found was an incredibly rich, diverse range of stories and political arguments about what was happening in the church at that time. With my research, I watched the documentary by Peter Hegedus, who's The Trouble with St Mary's, which is an amazing piece of documentary film. One of the key differences is, of course, cinema versus theatre, so it's different formatting and a different structure. One of the biggest differences is, I think for the film, in about 25 minutes through, Peter and Terry leave the church, and for us, that's our whole play. And the documentary does a brilliant job at documenting what happened in the months after, which has an incredibly rich story. For me, there was so much richness and so much interesting minutiae behind what the congregants were discussing and thinking about getting to that decision to leave. That's what the play focuses on. So I guess that's one of the main differences.
The Archbishop's letter wasn't for the community, it was for Peter. And Peter and Terry still flaunt our differences.
Terry's in the room, Beth. It's all right, guys.
Terry, every time you appear as representing us, you're pissing off the Archbishop.
No, God forbid we should do that.
Joe, this is complicated.
We've only just gone out and put into practice the fundamental teachings of social justice that the Christian gospel's based on.
Don't get high and mighty with me.
Don't get condescending with me.
We're all acting like this is just going to go away.
Well, this has happened before.
The Archbishop's letter was just responding to Righto Richard. Nothing will happen.
It's the Catholic Church, Beth. It doesn't change.
Peter, we need to do something.
I think it's a play that, for me, you could always tread that line of leaning too far on one side, and I really wasn't interested in doing that, because that's not good drama. It's just an ad then, and I wanted to have a dramatic story where we heard from both sides of the argument. And the play doesn't land on a particular side, I feel. It presents both sides and presents some really tough, challenging questions, I think, for people of all faith or no faith, about how to live, how to love, how to be a good community in the 21st century. So I think there will be challenges for the Catholic Church for in the play, but there are some challenges for the St Mary's in Exile community who left the play as well. And I think that's what good theatre should be. It should leave you in a place where you're asking questions and feeling just a little bit uncomfortable. So hopefully it achieves that goal.
No, I won't do it. The community won't let me do it. I stand with them, Beth. Who do you stand with?
One of the main things I want the audience to take away from this is, no matter what your faith or where you are in relationship with your church or your tradition or your background, I hope there are questions here for everyone that are actually deeply emotional and deeply human about how we belong, and about how we are kind to each other, and how we tolerate each other. We're in a world that is incredibly political, where everybody's opinions are shouted at us all the time, and how we make peace with that and how we move forward as a human community is the question of our age. And I think St Mary's and the stories of St Mary's really distills that down in a really articulate way, about we have great traditions in our past and how do we relate to them as contemporary human beings is a big question moving forward.
St Mary's in Exile is playing now at the Billy Brown Studio, QTC, until the 25th of September. And if you want more information about that, head to the website queenslandtheatre.com.au.